Welcome to the Heart of Giving. As you know, this program introduces to you the nonprofits we have in the community and the wonderful people that are making sure that these needs of our community are met. In the last 3 months, we have been sponsored by McKenna's, George's Greek Deli, Legends, and Taco Beach, and freeconferencecall.com. They have been our first sponsors, and I also want to thank John Morris for the work he's done for us. Today, we have two groups that I'd like to introduce to you. The first group is the Ronald McDonald House. This is a wonderful addition to our community. It's fairly new, but the work that is done so far has just reached far and wide. I'd like to introduce to you Sherry Paisley and Jennifer, and you're going to introduce Jennifer in a minute. But, you know, I think people know what the Ronald McDonald House is, but, you know, every time I've talked with you, I could just feel the love that you have for what you do. So tell us about how this happened in our city, and tell us what you do every day.
Sure, I'd love to, and thank you very much for the invitation. Jennifer and I are so pleased to be your guest today.
Good.
We are relatively new, as you mentioned. We'll celebrate our 2-year anniversary in December, just a
2
few
years.
months. Yes. It's been a wonderful journey from the inception, and even before the shovel went in the ground to build our beautiful house, the community for many years, working very closely with the hospital and our board of trustees, knew that there was a need. We often refer to ourselves as a home away from home for families with critically ill children. So several of the prominent physicians at Miller Children's Hospital were in touch with our board members and our global organization to express the need for the house in Long Beach.
And it's been here for 2 years, but I know, as you mentioned, that people were getting together to start fundraising for at least 2 or 3 years before that.
That's very true.
Yeah.
We were amazed at the outpouring in the Long Beach community and the very much needed funds raised in such a short period of time. It was absolutely an outpouring of support for the need and the building of the house.
Now, where is it, and how many do you serve, and what you do every day?
Certainly, great questions. We are very conveniently located right across the street from Miller Children's Hospital on 27th Street. Our facility is 23 beautiful guest rooms and many common areas that our families are able to enjoy. So we can serve up to 23 families at a time. And that can be upwards of 60, 70 people.
That's right, because many of them multi-families.
Yes, yes. We've served great numbers in such a short time, Beverly. We've served over 800 families.
Really?
Yes, and that equates to almost 2,000 people.
Like, how long do they stay?
Another great question. The average length of stay for a family is about 11 to 12 days.
Wow.
But that doesn't mean we have families that stay much greater periods of time. And Jen may have an opportunity to tell you about some of the specific families that we've served that have not only stayed considerable lengths of time, but have become very important and special to us.
So, and where is it?
It's on 27th Street, right across the street from Miller Children's Hospital.
And how do people become part of this?
We work very closely with our hospital partners, and hospital partners could be anyone from physicians themselves, social workers, or certainly the nurse partnership. They are our experts in terms of determining the priorities of the family, the severity of the children's needs, and also the distance that they live from the hospital and the Ronald McDonald House. While we serve people from our own immediate community, we also serve families from far and wide. Currently, we have several families staying with us. One is from Vietnam, and the other is from Guam. Again, the biggest percentage of families being from our immediate community and LA County.
And this gives a chance for the parents to be near their children that need their love and support.
Yes.
And so it isn't so unfamiliar as it is in a hospital for a child.
Right. Surveys show, and families have told us directly, that being able to be so close to their child at what is probably the most critical time of the family's life has not only kept them together, but oftentimes they believe the children heal faster. So it's a remarkable way that we are supporting families again at a very critical time.
And they can be there all day and be with their child all when they're awake and know that they're getting that
Yes.
support from their family. And
Yes.
they bring other children with them if it's a multi-numbered party or family.
Absolutely true. We often have siblings of the patient right there in our house. And we also like to say that we're much more than a house. We provide meals for families, and those are brought in from the community most times.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay. We have activities, and the house is really conducive to, again, sibling stays, families having quiet time, respite, a lot of things other than just being an accommodation.
So what do you provide for them? You provide a room, a bedroom, and you provide, do they cook any of their own meals?
They certainly are able to. We have a gorgeous, spacious kitchen, and we provide some food items, staples, so they may cook at any time. And we also do, as I mentioned, we have community groups come in to prepare meals for families.
I guess some of the things that I've heard, which I think are wonderful, is that the camaraderie with the staff and with each other is something that gives them even more support.
Yes, also very true. Many of these families will meet for the first time, and they'll be able to share in a quiet, calm, comforting environment exactly what they're going through with others who are going through similar circumstances. That ability to bond and have this very wonderful place to share their story, again, makes a really big difference.
Would you introduce Jennifer to us?
Sure,
And
I would love
Jennifer,
to.
you tell us what you do.
I'd love to. Jennifer Moore is with me today. She's our development manager at the Long Beach Ronald McDonald House.
Yes,
Jennifer,
very nice to meet you.
you're on now.
Thank you. I help with, as Sherry said, the development part of the house, so helping raise the funds to continue to sustain the needs of what we do. And also we wear a lot of hats, so I'll help assist with events and some marketing and all the above.
I know that the community does provide dinners because I belong to a couple organizations that will say, members, the third Sunday of this month, it's our day, and we want the people, and the community brings their own food, and then they cook for the...
Exactly that. If it's a restaurant or a caterer, sometimes the restaurant will just bring the actual meals in. But we also have community groups such as the Rotary that will come in and
That's the one I get.
the last Sunday of the month, and they'll pick ingredients to bring, and they'll cook a large meal for the families. Primarily it's dinners that are typically served. A lot of times our families spend long hours in the hospital, so knowing that they'll have an actual home cooked meal to come back to at 6 o'clock at night means the world to them. We'll also have groups that will come in and do a breakfast or a lunch. We'll have people that will do special themes throughout the year. So it's a really special time for our families.
And if you don't have an outside group coming in, do you have people that cook for the families, or do they do their own?
We find that sometimes
It's
the
covered.
families really like to have some normalcy and cook for themselves. So again, we'll provide large trays of
So that they can
lasagnas
do
that is simple cooking, and they like to do that themselves. We do find when we provide opportunities for the families to engage in the care and again preparation of meals, it's healing. I once
More
had,
like home.
I once had a mom say to me that she was having trouble sleeping, and she immediately said, not because the room isn't beautiful and the bed is very comfortable, Sherry, but she said, I found myself getting up in the middle of the night and doing laundry in the beautiful laundry room. She said, it's the most normal I've felt since my daughter was diagnosed 6 months earlier. So it's small things like that in a home away from home where families really find pleasure and comfort.
Yeah, normalcy.
Yes, exactly right.
A normal day.
I'd love to just add those sponsors, those restaurants that you mentioned,
Okay.
if I may.
Okay.
All of those all of those restaurants provide dinners.
Oh, the ones I mentioned?
Yes.
Oh, was that right?
Yes, every single one is involved in our meal program. So
And there are
they're
other
very-
restaurants too. probably.
many,
Yeah.
many.
That's wonderful.
I hope that's okay.
Give me a story. Give me an example of a family that
Do you want
comes
to
to
start
mind.
with the family on the cover of our current
I'd love-
newsletter?
You know, I'll tell you, and then I'll turn over the story to Jen. Jen writes our newsletter, which she does a beautiful job in doing. And on the cover of our recent newsletter is a family. I mentioned families often stay great lengths of time. And this family, the Riscala family, stayed 208 nights. And maybe you can share just a little bit about them.
They were originally from Egypt, is where their parents all live. They had just bought a house in Orange County, a townhome in Orange County. Mother doesn't drive, and about 5 months into her pregnancy, she was. They knew that something was wrong with their child, but they didn't know what it was going to be until he was delivered. He was delivered at Miller Children's Hospital, and he had a rare condition where his throat wasn't connecting to his stomach, an extremely rare case. So of course the family, being distraught of having their child being ill, not knowing what the outcome was going to be, the many surgeries that they were going to have to go through, the nurses introduced him to the Ronald McDonald house. They stayed a total of 202 nights where he underwent 3 extensive surgeries. Good news is Jacob
That's
just turned
wonderful.
1. The
Oh,
little baby
wow.
boy turned 1.
How good.
They were able to stretch his esophagus to connect to his stomach. So he's currently learning to eat and swallow and all
Well,
of
you know,
that.
I wish that I had asked you for examples earlier because they're so wonderful, and all of a sudden our time is over, and so I can't hear more. So, but we'll have you come back again
Wonderful.
sometime.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for what you do and the warmth and love that you show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Beverly.
We'll be right back.